Hey there, everyone. Jacqueline Jax. How are you guys doing? So, I was on social media, of course, and working on some of my own private work. And I realized that I really haven't talked about my own stuff on this channel. I've talked about all of the different watercolors and a lot of beginner stuff to help you guys out and answer your questions and everything and tell you how I would approach things. But I haven't really done much with like more of my professional things that I do over at jacquelinejax.com. I actually sell prints from my originals and occasionally some originals to raise funds for different things like wild animal charities or, husky rescues, different things like that. And when I do these, I always get so many compliments on them and I always get so many inquiries about them, but I didn't realize I hadn't really mentioned them on the channel. So I thought since I was going to do a study today, headed towards one of these, then I could kind of map it out on the channel with you guys and you could follow along just as a little journey with me on how I arrive at some of these portraits. There's one I just actually posted on social media. I just finished it and it really turned out interesting. So there's a lot of textures going on in these, of course. And by the time they get to digital, they are really worked and worked and worked. But essentially, it all starts with watercolor. And one of you guys was asking me how I start, where I start. And if you look at, like, for instance, like this one, it actually started with roses, like just a watercolor roses. And then it just keeps, layering. I keep layering, like I'll maybe take a black ink pen and I will draw the face. And then I'll do a watercolor of roses and then I'll start to layer them together and work with them back and forth until I get just the right style, just the right thing I'm looking for. But anyway, you can't get here until you start somewhere else. And I'm going to show you where I start because I thought that might be interesting for you to learn just how outside of the box you can get with your thinking. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. So in my watercolor journal, and I have a watercolor journaling class for beginners over on my website too, and I will link it below in the video as always. But I do all kinds of studies, and I showed you basically how to develop your watercolor journal, practicing different things and making different notes in it, and basically how to decide about color and deal with color. And that really is where it all starts, because if you look at all of the different colors that I utilize and play with, I play with them right here in the journal first. And that's where I kind of come up with these really interesting combinations, like this orange and pink combination, right? But it all starts here. And this is where you play. This is where you don't worry about whether things are going to work out or they're not going to work out. You just play. And I think it's like the most fun that you're going to have. And I love to keep these journals and look back at them to see the different combinations and the things that I've done, as crazy as some of them are, because this is the way that you work things out. And if you take good notes and you write down what colors you use to get to a certain place, actually this is one of the lessons in the watercolor journal, then you'll actually find a much easier way to that spot. So right now I'm going to just take a page in my journal. So let's open this up a little bit. And I'm going to look at some of these granulating colors from Schminke. I've done reviews on these colors so many times when I first got them, and I absolutely love them. They're so much fun to work with. I really enjoyed them. So I actually put them in my 48 wood box set, and I just kind of took one of these out of a palette and started to fill them. So they come in tubes. Put them in from the tubes into pans. They are better right out of the tubes, just so you know. So you don't always want to put them in pans, but I do like to have some in pans so that I can just re-wet them on the fly like this and use them in my journal Now, when I'm working on a really nice piece, I typically use them out of the tube. So I'm not going to lie, I don't use them out of the pans. But for this application, I do use them out of the pans. It's just convenient. So I wet them really quickly, and I'm going to set them right here on the side. Okay, water bottle handy. So I've got an assortment of brushes. I just have some things that I'm always keeping out on my watercolor table. And if you want to see what's on my watercolor table, I just actually released a video this week on the new updated studio tour. So you can go and check out and see what that's like. So these are custom granulating color combinations. So these are basically taking two granulating colors and mixing them together to create my own colors, because I sometimes feel that they can be a little bit muted, and that's fine if I'm going for a muted look, which I probably am going to do a portrait here or a series that are a little more muted for summer. But also, gotta love the phthalos. They're so interesting. This is how you kind of can evolve your own little sketchbook. Keep track of all the beautiful colors. Like, look at that amethyst genuine is so pretty. It actually has glitter in it. And then you never forget about your colors. You can just look. You can do them a million different ways, but I tend to start here, just doing a very, very big swatch and then starting to play with colors so that I can just get used to them. And I do it a lot. Even at this stage in the game, after I've been doing this for so long, I do it often because I just really like to get acquainted with them. And you do forget about certain colors a lot. You know what I mean? So let's take Tundra Pink, which I love. Where's that one? Hopefully I can find it. I have so many colors in this thing now. And I think it's in this one. I'm going to grab it. And let's take, I would say, like the Glacier Green, the Tundra Pink, and maybe some Glacier Turquoise. And we're going to just start, oh, magenta. Ooh, magenta is pretty with that. Okay, wait. Here I go. Now it's really hard for me to just rein it in because I love it. I love colors, and it's so much fun to mix colors together, especially when you find a color that doesn't necessarily belong in a mix of colors, but then it just like surprises you and you just love it, Those are the best days. All right, let's wet this one and this one. This is Tundra Pink and Magnesium Violet, or Manganese Violet. So Tundra Pink, Manganese Violet. All right, I'll keep this on the side. So first, let's just get some watercolor on the paper. So I'm going to take my brush. Again, Escoda Versatile size 10. You know I always reach for this brush. I'm going to take some of the Manganese Violet, because I just love this color, right out of the pan. And I'm just going to put it anywhere, any old place. Then rinse my brush out so I don't contaminate my pans. Let's take the Tundra Violet, and I want to get a lot of it on here so it granulates. And I'm going to put it over here. So these are like my two anchors. So I've got my Tundra Pink and my Manganese Violet. And you'll notice that if you add a little water to Tundra Pink, it actually does some neat things. And that's the beauty of Tundra Pink. It's beautiful. So now I don't want to forget. So let's take one of my waterproof pens here, and we're going to write Tundra Pink. And the Manganese Violet. Now, collecting colors. So I said, what was this? This was Glacier Green. So again, it's a granulating color. We want to grab enough of it on a nice big juicy brush for it to do its magic. And I'm just going to kind of blend it here. We're going to add a little water to it because we always like to watch it. Just watch it burn. And I'm going to let it kind of combine with the violet over here. And grab a little more of that violet and just kind of feed it around while it's wet. And this is how you can already see I'm starting to build texture. And I haven't even started yet. I'm already starting to look at texture. Now we're going to take the Glacier Turquoise because I really love this color. And I'm just going to add it as a layer right here just to give us a little more shot of that really wild, beautiful color, like a vein all the way through. Isn't that beautiful? See how bright it is? So it kind of like combines with the complement, which I feel is Glacier Green complements the Glacier Turquoise so well. And if you even want to grab, if you have this whole set and you want to grab the Glacier Blue, you can even do another line. Now look at that. Now you can kind of see where when it comes to things like this, how you can get started. And it all starts with the watercolors because the watercolor is just going to do what it does. And I'm going to let it because it's so much fun. This is the most relaxing part, definitely, of everything that I do. So now let's go over and I'm going to grab a little bit more pink. This is the magenta. These are all by Schminke. And the magenta, we're going to go right close to this deeper blue here. Grab a little bit more. And I'm just going to touch some of the areas and miss some of the areas. And again, you're just playing. You want to see them combine. You don't want to really necessarily have any image in your mind because what I love to do is actually paint with watercolor when I don't really have an image. When I don't really feel like, okay, I'm going to do a cityscape or I'm going to do a landscape or, you know, a portrait. Even though I know eventually I do use a lot of these as the backdrops to my portraits, I'm not really caring. I just want to see the colors minced together and I just want to play and see what they do and then like see how I can layer different things on them because this is the way you learn. This is the way you really experiment with your colors and you learn about what they can do together. And I think that's really, really important. So now I'm going to take Tundra Pink, get a lot, and we're going to just kind of blend it out here and let it combine with the magenta. Isn't that lovely? So pretty. And we're going to grab some like cobalt, ultramarine, or even a little bit of the glacier blue, and we're going to just kind of blend it in together so that it makes that lovely purple. Look at that gorgeous purple. So pretty. And again, I'm trying for texture here, so that's why I'm using the granulating colors because the more texture, the better. Going back to my manganese violet, I'm going to finish this off here and we're going to add some to this side and we're going to add some here and let it just kind of mix in with that blue. Grab a little more of the blue. Let's see if we can really pull some really beautiful color there. Okay, so now we had quite a few of these, right? We're going to just on the bottom here list what we put in here, which we knew we have Tundra Pink and Manganese Violet. I had Magenta. I had Sea Blue, which was, actually it's Glacier, right? Glacier Blue, Glacier Turquoise, Glacier Green. And that was it, wasn't it? Yeah. So we got them all. So look at how gorgeous this is. Now I'm going to take some different tools and I'm going to try for some texture just by dragging different tools. Like this is just a one of the spatulas. And by using the edge, I can get some really interesting different lines, meaning that if I wanted to create like little kind of segues, I could do that with this tool. But we notice that it does indent the paper and it leaves a really, really harsh line. So what else do we have? So let's look at my little box here. I want to see what the plastic card does. So if we drag the plastic card across, then the curved edge gives us kind of a nice branchy kind of look. So this would be great for branches, but thicker branches, right? I can use the straight edge and drag it across and get textures this way. It's a great way to like just kind of clear away some of this and get textures in there. And don't worry, you're not making anything. Just see what it does, because you want to get used to what possibilities you might have for your painting as you layer. Another thing you can do is take some water and just spray it and reactivate some of the color so that you can see it blend. Let me see what that does. Let it kind of form into each other in different areas. That's kind of cool, because that's how you get some of these like really, really nice little light areas. Then you can take some bulletproof white. And again, remember, the purpose of this exercise is just to play. It's just to like experiment with some of the stuff that you have on hand and just enjoy it and see what it does. So I got my bulletproof, and I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle this in here a little bit because I want it to separate the color. This is a great way to separate your color out. Bulletproof white is the best. It's such a great thing to have on hand. It's by Dr. P.H. Martins. You guys ask me about it all the time because you're always looking for a way to get your whites back in. This is the best one. It's a little bit pricey, but it's so worth it. And it's really, for what you get, I don't think it's really that pricey. Then like things, if you're on your walk, collect twigs, like old branches, like little pieces of branches and leaves, because you can do so much with these. And I find these are like the most organic of everything for doing like these nice tree shapes and branches, just to get these nice little shapes, you know. So what I'm doing now is there's a shape here, right here, that shapes these leaves, and also these right here. And in the watercolor, like once I have something, you see, I can actually draw these shapes in with the twig. And then once this is dry, I can do relief painting on it, and the texture's already there. So this is kind of hard to explain because it's not going to dry right now, but say I take my brush and let's get a little bit deeper color here. What can I use? Let's grab this. So say I have a little bit deeper color, and maybe I can dry it a bit. I don't know where my rag is. So this area here, that's a little bit more dry. Outside of the leaf, I would go in with a deeper color when it's dry. And I've already got the shapes kind of organically pushed in there. And now I'm going to paint the relief area. You know what I mean? So let's get this underneath here so you can see better. So don't let that distract you. So this is, of course, really shiny right now because the white is still working. But see this area? So in between where the leaves are already shaped, if I wanted to like just kind of build in this dark, now I have a situation where you see how it was all mixed and beautifully tie-dyed. You're going to start to see like all the different colors. And so when I take a consistent color on the outside, now these beautiful colors are inside the line. And if you notice, it's not bleeding in because I've scratched the paper with my twig. So this is a great advanced tip to help you when you don't want to use, literally when you don't want to really use masking fluid. And I like this so much better, you know? So I'm just taking the manganese violet and I'm going in here in between, and where I scratched, it actually won't go in. It won't go into where I scratched. And then when this dries, I'll have this beautiful like relief print with different color combinations, you know? So again, just once you have the color on there, you can wet your paper. Use your twig to scratch in your pattern. So if you notice, I'm catching some of the tundra, I'm catching some of the purple right within the pattern, and it makes it look even more interesting. And I'm just scratching it. And then once I scratch it, I wish I could find my cloths. I don't know what happened. Everybody steals my things. Where are they? Oh my goodness, I don't know where they are. Okay, that's really odd. I usually have tons and tons of cloths on my thing, and now I don't have any. So I'll just use a sponge. All right, let's wet our sponge a little bit, wring it out, and let it suck up some of this color because it's just got like a couple of little puddles I want to get rid of. Okay, let's rinse that out. So again, take our twig, scratch our paper. This is 100% cotton arches paper, by the way, which will make a very, very big difference in doing these techniques. So test out your paper and see if it works. So once that is scratched in, now let's go, and this was like tundra pink and, or I don't know, maybe turquoise or something. So I'm going to go in with a turquoise, and I'm just going to drop in the turquoise and see how it like literally sits outside of the line. If it's too wet, then of course, like this, it's kind of starting to bleed in a little bit, but that's okay because all we have to do is just pick it up, and you pick it up and you're back to staying outside the lines. But isn't this cool? Because it literally stays right where you need it to stay because you've already indented the paper in. So you really can't go wrong, because now I've got like this really beautiful mix of textures in my watercolor, but I'm also getting the relief painting very, very easily. So this is just oh my gosh, guys, this is just one little technique of so many ways to play with watercolor and getting layers and you know, just doing really, really fun things on your page. And then you let that dry. You know, once you've kind of experimented a little bit, you let it dry, and then you go in and you can do another layer of something else. Like maybe we're going to layer in over here. We're going to, let's just give it a little bit of color, put a little bit of different colors on it. Bit. Now I'm going to just scratch in some flower shapes. Look at that. See what's going on there? So now, literally, dry some of that off. You can see it's already in there. So then now that I have that in, I can get even more dramatic with the color, and I'm not going to lose the shape because, you know, if watercolor, if you draw a petal and it doesn't dry, you know you're going to lose your shape. They're going to combine, but it's not going to do that on this. It's going to kind of just stay where I want it because I've already enclosed it in by drawing the shape on there. And then I'm just going to come back down here and I can literally put more leaves in. And as this dries, I can go in on this shape and do more. Oh, goodness. She's here. Stop it. She loves to bother me when I'm recording. That's my husky. She's the devil. Misty. Misty. All right, so I just added a little green. Okay, so go and play and then come over to the group and show me what you got, guys. I'm excited to see that. I hope you can see this because it's really, really beautiful, but it's kind of like really shiny right now because it is very bright. But you see the relief painting? So it makes it so easy to do, and look at how beautiful and cool this is, right? And this is just sketchbook stuff. So it all starts here. So now I kind of have a feel for the colors. I'm getting used to how they combine together. I'm looking at patterns and textures and what the colors are doing because all watercolor, you know, reacts differently on different papers. And this is a great way to just play with organic shapes and just kind of get really abstract and off the wall with it and just have such a good time doing it. I think that is just, you know, great, great stuff. I love doing things like this. This is one of my most fun exercises that that I do with my paper and my paints. So I hope you guys will try it. And I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did and you want to see more of these like layering exercises where I just play with paint, then by all means, let me know and I will film some more of them as I do them because I do them all the time it just loosens my style up, just kind of gets me flowing. And before I know it, I have another big, beautiful portrait that I'm showing you on social media. All right. Print sale is coming up. Don't forget, because by March, it'll be full on spring, and all of the spring beautiful prints will be available on my website at jacquelinejax.com. All right, guys. Bye. See you later.